Okay, it says we are live. So I'm glad that we're live. This is awesome. And what I'm going to do before we get started on the deep, dirty, juicy, whatever it is, stuff that we're going to talk about today, I'm going to share this. If you're watching us live, allow Restream to see your name and your profile.
Yeah.
So that we can see who you are and any comments or questions you have for Lauren.
It's always nice to know who the question's coming from.
Yeah, seriously.
Nice.
So I am so happy that you are here, Lauren, and we're so happy that everybody is here watching. And really appreciate you taking time to be with us today. I have no doubt that what you are going to get today is worth its weight in gold, and more so because gold just isn't worth anything if it doesn't have a purpose. So today is going to be more than, I don't know, more than you think it will. So I invite you to stick around and take notes because Lauren's got some super important and really valuable things to share. Thank you, Lauren, for being here. First of all, I'm totally bulldozing the conversation, but can you introduce yourself? Tell everyone who Lauren the Empathpreneur is and actually how you got to this point.
Yeah. I liked what you said, worth in gold. Like, hopefully it'll be like, I don't know, can people spend like gold coins and not like a gold bar? Like, you couldn't go to the store and take that. So hopefully this will be more like a coin and not like a gold bar.
A useful piece of gold. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Or like some nice jewelry you can win.
whatever value.
Right. Yeah, so my name is Lauren, and I have been an entrepreneur for 7.5. It'll be 8. Oh, wow. It'll be 8 years in July. That's crazy. So I started off as a social worker. Before I had a business, I studied psychology in school and women's studies, and I was in the social work field, which I really loved and enjoyed. I love connecting with people. I love hearing people's stories. I love helping people. I'm definitely like a caretaker and like nurturer by nature. And yeah, so I was in that field for a while, got really burnt out because I'm definitely the kind of person that absorbs things. And I, at that point in my life, was not healed enough, or, I didn't have the tools to be able to kind of separate those things and not take those types of things home with me. So that became very difficult. So I ended up working in a bank. I was like, what won't I like take home with me, and what won't like make me like cry every night when I go home? Oh, I'll just go work in a bank. So I did that for a little less than a year. And I loved the customer service. I loved talking to people. I loved counting money. Like, that's fun. But I did not love like selling like credit cards and like trying to doing all those like cold calls and getting people to buy things that like I didn't understand that if they needed them or not. And the bank that I worked for, I think there's maybe some ethical and moral things that didn't really sit really well with me. And I just was like, I want to do something that I feel really good about. So I was like, I'm going to start a business. I put in my 2 weeks at the bank and I did not have a plan. I was like, I need to figure out what I'm going to do. So this is the worst idea ever. Like, I wouldn't recommend like people doing it this way, but this is how it actually happened. So I put in my 2 weeks and I started applying to work for other like dog walking and pet sitting companies. And, at the time, he was my husband. Now he's my ex-husband, or was-been, as I like to say. He was like, why don't you just start your own business? Like, I'm sure you could do it like just as good, or if not better than anyone else. And I was like, that's a good idea. I think I'll do that. So I did. I started my pet care business, and it grew really quickly. And I'll talk about that and why it happened, because that's ultimately what I'm here to share with you. And yeah, and I ended up closing at the end of 2020 to transition into what I do now, which is I help people with social media and video. I do a little bit of social media management, and I have a digital course called Vibrant on Video that's launching in a couple weeks. And actually, Amy, if you want your followers, I can give a little coupon code if you want, so they can get it at a discounted rate before the price goes up if you want.
I think they would love that. That would be amazing.
Yeah, gotta help the HealthyMe HealthyWe crew. But yeah, so basically, like, I had no idea what I was doing. I had no business experience. I'd never taken a single business class. I didn't know what kind of paperwork I needed to fill out. I didn't know anything. But what I did know is that I'm good with people. I love people. I love talking with people. I love hearing their stories. I love hearing, like, I love humans. Even though I'm an introvert, I love people. And so what ended up happening is it took off like really quickly, and it grew way faster than I could handle. And I hired people and all this great stuff. And that was a whole journey in itself. But I realized, like, it wasn't the technical and strategic and all of that stuff that made it grow so fast. Of course, those things are super important. Obviously, like, you cannot run a business without like being organized and like, well, you can, but you want to be organized. You want to, obviously pay your taxes and, make sure you do all the things that you need to do. But it was the like intangible, like soft skills and the things that like I didn't learn ended up taking a business. I was accepted into this like scholarship program, Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses program, which is basically like an MBA on like crack, but like all for your business. It's basically what it was in 12 weeks. It was crazy. You didn't get like a degree or anything like that, but you learned so much, and it was all, paid for by Goldman Sachs, which was great. I learned a lot, but I still didn't learn these intangible things that I thankfully just like, I guess naturally like and I learned how to do better, and I'm still learning how to do better every day. So I'm excited to share those like 3 main things that I learned that really are what made my business take off. And I was able to build this like community of people that were like so invested in me and my business. And some of them have even followed me from my pet care business to now. Like, now they follow me with my new business, which has nothing to do with them. Like, they're not business owners, like they're not my ideal client, but they just like are attached to me and they feel close to me. So it's like, the first thing, can I jump in? Is that cool?
Yeah. Well, so first of all, I think this is all amazing, even though I have heard these stories more than once, except for the you didn't know what you were going to do, and you just kind of went by the seat of your pants. Like, it totally doesn't surprise me, and like amazes me that you created something that grew so much in 7 years. But not only that, like, you grew a business that you've just shut down and you've started another one. So tell me how, and I think that we all can understand like the relation between this, but you said you love people so much, you started a dog walking business. So now you started, like, you're in the business of people now. So I guess, yeah, that leads into these 3 steps that you want to talk about, is kind of why you made that transition and how you have brought people with you along the way, in spite of, them not being your ideal clients, or not knowing all of the strategies or tactics behind growing a business. So will you share your first step with us? Let's go deep.
Yeah. Well, first I want to go back to something you said, because it's so funny, because like in pet care, like people would always be like, oh, I don't like people, so I'm going to go with pet care and like work with animals. But the thing is, like, even pet care is still a business for people. And honestly, like, unless your clients are robots, like, you're in the business of people anyway, because who buys your services, who buys your products? People buy them. So I don't care what it is that you do, like, you are in the business of serving people. Love it. Yeah. So it's just like, no matter what, like, that's like, we have to connect with people. Even if you're an introvert like me, like, people are what people buy from people. So the first thing that I learned that I was doing really well, that is honestly like probably like, I mean, they're all important things, but this, in my opinion, is like the most important one. And it sounds very woo, but it's to be authentic, because people can smell from a mile away when you're being fake, and no one likes that. Like people are like if you're just repeating what other people are saying because they're doing well, or if you're trying to be like a cookie cutter version of someone else, like people don't like that. That doesn't feel good. Like people are like, I get super turned off. Like when I can tell that someone is just trying to be this version of themselves that others expect them to be. It's just like, be yourself. Be yourself. Isn't that what the gene said?
Yes, exactly.
Be yourself. It's true. Like you have to just be yourself. Like I like am weird and quirky, and like I talk really fast and I get really excited and stumble over my words and like stutter a little bit, and like that's fine. And like I just do it because I'm literally just being myself. Like how I'm talking to you, Amy, now, and like how I talk to like my mom is like it's all the same. Like it's literally the same. I don't talk to anyone any differently. And so you don't have to like fake it. Like you just be yourself, and people are like, oh, wow, cool. Like I know who they are. So, and you don't have to be like, I'm bubbly and like, woo, but like, you don't have, if that's not you, like, you don't have to be that. Like maybe you're like, I always wish I would like a little more like chill. I'm like cool, calm and collected, like that's not who I am, but like,
I don't.
Yeah, I know. Like, you're like, I have so many kids and I have a chicken. Like, how am I going to be cool, calm and collected?
Yeah, it's crazy to think of trying to be anybody else but yourself. But we all do it. We all look at someone and immediately compare ourselves and say, oh, well, if I was like this person, or if I did something like this person, then I would be more successful, or I would be able to have the things that I have. When actually you are telling us that it's exactly the opposite, that people buy from you because it's you, that people followed you from your pet care business to your business now because of you, not because of what you do, but because of who you are.
People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it, right? Simon Sinek.
Yes, Simon Sinek.
So it's like, and so like to make this a little bit more tangible, because it's so easy to be like, be yourself, be authentic. That all sounds nice and dandy, but like, what does that actually look like? So what I did when I first started this new business, and I didn't do this honestly until later in the game with my pet care company, but I just kind of, it developed over time. But, and of course it's still evolving now for my new business, but I wrote down like, okay, like what are the things that like I believe to be true? And like, if you're a personal brand, I think it's like really easy to do this too, because either way, you are your business. But I know with my pet care company, I had to be a little more, it's a little more strategic and different. But like for this business where I am literally my business, like, I'm like, what do I believe? Like, what is it that like I would stand in front of a moving truck for, like what are the things that I am just like unapologetic about, that I believe no matter what, that have to do with my business and like how I interact with people. So just like write those things down, and like you're going to start to see like a pattern. Another thing that I did like when I first started my business, and I think you did this too, in DCA, the course that we took together. But like you can also just like ask people, like, when you think of me, like what words do you think of? And just ask people, like, what are three words that you would use to describe me? And like, you're going to start to notice that like, there's like this pattern that people will say, like people kept saying, like before I came up with the brand name Empathpreneur, I was like, what do you think of when you think of me? And like empathy, like everyone was just like empathetic. I was like, okay, I'm noticing a pattern here. So it's just like, okay, like, so like, this is my thing. Like, I'm just leaning into it. I already am this. I'm not being something that I'm not, but I'm just like acknowledging that this is what people see me as. And so I'm just owning it to like the 10th degree,
Something else that when we, a little bit through DCA, when we were creating kind of our brands, and you were working with a coach, you started emphasizing pink more with your pink hair, and you were so excited to go back to pink. So this owning it, like all of these unique things that you love, I have heard, and I love what you shared. So for anybody who's watching, leave a comment and let us know what has stuck out to you the most, and share with us your most unique quality. Because I would love to hear what what things you think of when you think of yourself that you would like to share with someone else that makes you different. Because this is the beginning, right, of building your unique brand. So something that I learned was to take a piece of paper, and what you're talking about, Lauren, kind of plays to this, but taking a piece of paper and making columns. And one of them is what you were talking about, like the unapologetic opinions that you have of certain things, like things you would stand in front of a truck for. And then things that you love that might be unique, like you love sunflowers and you love pink hair. For me, it would be that our family is obsessed with all things Disney. And I played football as a teenager, but only with the boys. I wouldn't play with the girls, which was probably more to shove it in the boys' faces that I could play with them. Anyway, probably more of a pride thing. But I like making a list of all the things that make you unique, who you are, and what things you can share with people that make you the type of person that people would want to buy things from, because you're relating to people on a person-to-person level. I love that you said that at the beginning. It's humans buy from humans. People are not numbers. And when we start to look at numbers and forget that they're people, then we lose the real value behind the business in the first place.
Totally. I love that you shared that you played football. Like, it's like things like that. It's like, figure out what are like the stories. So like you're figuring out like, what is it that people see you as, and like what stories that you have that have gone on in your life that have been notable and like memorable that support that. So like I talk about like my divorce, like I've talked about that a lot more recently, because honestly, it was like a big part of my growth. It was a huge part. And so it's just like, now that I've processed it and, healed, and, it's been years now, but it's just like, that's a part of my story. That's a part of how I got to like, come out and as this like person that is, like who I am now. Like I've always been this person on the inside, but I was like scared to like show it, which leads me to my next
fantastic
my next point. Yeah. So the next thing is to be vulnerable, which I feel like vulnerability is like becoming like a little like hot topic, trending thing. Like we all love Brene Brown, like want to be her. Maybe that's just me.
Oh, the feeling's mutual.
Yeah. But that wouldn't be authentic.
So we'll just copy her just a little bit.
Yeah. So, but like being vulnerable, and actually it's funny, I literally just posted about this today on, I think it was Instagram, or maybe it was Facebook, I don't know, one or the other. I posted
go check it out. Can you find out for us, please? Whoever does this, go figure out where she posted this.
It was on one of those places, I think yesterday, Facebook, Instagram, today, but like I thought for so long that like holding my cards close and being the person that I was very calculated, and like I felt like a chameleon, and that I would kind of camouflage. I'm always myself. Like I wouldn't not be myself, but I would pick out the certain parts of myself that I need to show to whoever I was talking to. And like I would just be very like guarded, and I was afraid to share with people, because I thought that, especially before my divorce, like y'all, I talk about this, like I was a hot mess. Like I had and I still struggle with mental health issues, but like I really, really struggle. And that's not something I've even talked a ton about. And I'll probably talk more about that this year, but I really struggled, and nobody knew except the people that I lived with. And like nobody knew, because I didn't talk about it, because I was like so afraid of people seeing me a certain way. And it was just like, once I got divorced, I was like, well, it can't get much worse than this. So like, what do I have to lose? So that was when I've wanted this haircut, like to shave this part of my head. I've wanted to do it since 2012, and I didn't do it till 2017. So I wanted it for five or so years. I wanted to shave this, but I was just like, no, like it's not professional, like, or what will people think? And all this stuff. And then like the week that I separated from my husband, I was like, I'm shaving my freaking head. So I went and I did it, and I don't think I'll ever go back. It makes me so happy every time I look in the mirror, because I'm just like, I just feel like it's like me. It's just, I don't know, because it's different. I'm a little different.
It's almost one of those like, I did it moments where, and for anyone who knows, like I have a 4-year-old, 5-year-old now, little Enzo, who every time he does something, because it takes him a little longer, he's always saying, Mommy, look, I did it. And it's so proud of himself. Yeah. So I think we're growing from those emotional, and I don't want to say limitations, but they really are, like, we're literally growing this emotional person inside our heads, and who we match on the outside might not match the inside emotional person. So you doing this made me think, yes, you took a step towards becoming the person you are on the outside with the person you are on the inside. And I love that. Like, this vulnerability kind of helps you match the physical with the mental and emotional.
Totally. One of my favorite quotes is, how we feel is how we want to be heard. And like, I'm a Cancer, like I'm a, empath, like I'm very feelings like oriented person, like a little bit wooey, but like, it's true. Like, there's also science and data to like back it up. I couldn't name a specific statistic or anything like that, but like, when people can relate to you and they feel something, like, they're going to trust you. And when people trust you, they will be loyal to you. When people are loyal to you, they'll buy from you. And we don't do this. Like, I'm not like doing like performative vulnerability. Like, okay, like I'm going to post something vulnerable because I need to sell blah, 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 blah. No, like that's not authentic. You might be being vulnerable, but it's performative and it's not authentic. So it like has to all come from a place of like service, and it has to be real. Like, it can't be forced. It can't be like, okay, like I'm going to be vulnerable today. It has to be something that you like, again, like you said, like your inside has to match your outside, and it has to be something that you truly like are choosing to do.
So how do you and how do you teach your clients to do this on a constant basis? It's a hard thing. I think some people feel emotionally exhausted after they share something like that, but it seems to light you up. So can you share with us how you put that kind of strategy in place with the heart?
Yeah, absolutely. So I truly believe the best way, and also the easiest way, to be honest, like, because I know Amy and I talk about this, but like, I'm lazy. Amy's lazy. Like, and like lazy, not in that we don't work hard, but we're just like, what is the most efficient and effective way to do this? And so I have found in my experience, and what I teach my clients and what I did with my pet care company, is I create video content, and I create videos and I share via video, because first of all, it's the closest thing that you have to like having like an in-person conversation with someone. So when you create video content, whether it's like a live like this, where we're having a conversation, or maybe it's just like on stories, like on Instagram or Facebook or something like that, no matter what it is, like, it's the fastest, easiest, most direct way to build that bridge between your audience and where they're at, your community that you're trying to build, and yourself. It's just like, and don't get me wrong, like I'm actually learning to love writing. It's something that it's taking me a while, but I'm learning to love it, and it's great and it's important. And I know that people do process differently, but like so here's a statistic for you. So research shows that people are 80%, 80, more likely to engage with content where they can see a human face versus one that's not. So it's like, you could post on social media and write this really vulnerable, authentic post, or send this email that's really vulnerable, authentic. And those are all great things, and you should do that. And also, if you created a video where you shared that same message or a message like it, I can almost guarantee, like, I don't want to promise, but like, I'll bet you like $1 million Monopoly dollars that like, the video version will do better. Like even if you feel awkward and like weird and like you mess up, like, I think it will still do better because people want to see your face. So being vulnerable is important. And it's number two, because it's like, people want to see you. And also people like seeing you when you're uncomfortable too.
Because they
Like,
feel the same way.
exactly. They're like, oh, she's weird too, or she's awkward too. Like, cool. Like, I'm not alone. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, people don't, first of all, no one's perfect. Like, we all know that. But if like you're trying so hard to be perfect, and again, going back to authenticity, if you're trying so hard to be perfect, like people can't relate to that anyway. So like, backfire, like it's not going to work anyway. So if you're just like, okay, well, I'm just going to be myself and share something, meaningful, and know that like, it's okay if you get messed up. It's okay if you get emotional. I created, I still go back and forth of whether I should or shouldn't do this, but I did a Facebook Live like a month or two ago, randomly. I didn't plan this or whatever out. And I was literally like sobbing because I was so emotional, but like I had something I really wanted to share that happened with my business. And I have not, like, I think that is still like the most engaging like video that like I've ever posted. And it wasn't something that I planned. It just like, I just felt called in that moment to like share and, be in that moment. And people were like, wow, like this made me cry, like watching you cry. So it's just like, it wasn't performative. Like it was something that just naturally happened.
That's awesome. I love that. So people, when you're feeling vulnerable, when you're in a situation where other people can relate, turn on your camera and show them what you're doing.
Totally.
That's awesome. So what's your last step here to
Yeah.
creating more of this?
Yeah. And also, one thing I will say is like, to go back to what you said, like, yes, share when you're feeling vulnerable. And also, like, to go back to like my divorce, for example, because I think there's a difference between like sharing and being vulnerable and then like oversharing. So, like, I didn't share about my divorce like on like my company business page and share all this stuff that like I now know. Like, I think I knew those things now, but or back then, but like, it was raw. It was too raw, right? Like it's been how long? It's been 3+ years or something now. So like I'm healed, I'm good. Like it's fine now. I've processed. And so I can talk about it openly without like, hyperventilating or crying or it ruining my day. Like it's not a big deal to me now, but then it would have been different. So depending on what it is that you're being vulnerable about, like just keep in mind, like there's vulnerability and then there's oversharing. So like there's a line somewhere between that you have to kind of figure out what makes sense.
Gotcha. I've heard that before. And the fact that you and you haven't mentioned this outright, but you worked with someone to work through this.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It's not until you've actually worked through it and have resolved the issue that it's something valuable to you to share that will be valuable to someone else.
Oh, totally. Lots of therapy.
Yeah.
Lots of therapy and just like getting tools and things that I needed to learn and process. It's so funny because those things that I felt like I learned then also like are super applicable with my business too. So it's like, again, very woo, but it's like when you work on yourself, and this is what I talk about a lot when I'm talking about my divorce, is like when you heal yourself, like it also, it just trickles over to your business too. So if you are like, if you're someone who's super comfortable like with yourself and being vulnerable in your personal life, like that's amazing. Keep doing that and then start to find ways that you can kind of pull that over to your business. Because if it's something that you're already doing, but you feel like well in your personal life, it probably won't be that hard, or it'll be more natural for you to then be able to kind of pull some of that over if you feel like that's an area that you're not maybe as strong in. And if you were like me, that like you weren't like, not that I wasn't authentic, like I've always been authentic, but I wasn't vulnerable. And so it's like, once I started doing that in my personal life and started talking about my divorce, like then like it just opened up the floodgates just opened, and like everything in my life started kind of going in place. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
The third thing is to be consistent.
One of my favorite topics, because I know that no matter who we are, we all face times of being inconsistent. So, and facing that daily decision of what we're going to do that creates that consistency. So tell us why why this is so important, why this is part of it.
So like if you're trying to build, an engaged community of like raving fans versus just followers, you're being authentic, you're being vulnerable. That's awesome. Like that's great. That's perfect. Keep doing that. If people hear from you, like let's say you're posting on social media or sending emails or, showing up, for your people, however you're doing that, maybe you do twice a week, 5 days a week, 7 days a week, whatever it is for you, like it's different for everyone and that's okay. Let's say you're doing that. And then all of a sudden you have like 3 weeks where you're just gone. People are gonna be like, where'd she go? Like, what happened? You know what I mean? And so it's like, the way I see it is like, you want to be reliable and so consistency is reliability. If you want to build loyal raving fans, you want to really build this community, you have to show up. It doesn't mean you have to be like, I don't know. I do post every day on social, but I didn't always do that. I wasn't always consistent. And like, I don't think that's necessary for everybody. Like, it's really not. I think whatever it is, whether it's twice a week, 3 times a week, even if it was just once a week, like to start off being consistent, like I'm going to post and share every Wednesday. You're a perfect example. You're like, okay, every Wednesday, like I'm going live in my group, and you've been doing that for what, 6+ months, every single Wednesday. Like you've been so consistent. And it's just like, people know, if you follow Amy, okay, like Amy's going live on Wednesday. Like I know that I can count her for that. And it's always like around the same time, like 11 or 12, like you just know. So it's like people know that they can depend on you to show up. And even if they're not watching live, or even if they don't engage, every single time, they know that you're there and you're kind of a constant presence. So what I learned, it's so easy to be like, be consistent, do it all the time. But it's like, how do you do that? So like what I did, and I'll just share what's worked for me is, well, first of all, I know that you are reading, or I don't know if you finished it yet, Atomic Habits, but that book,
finished. Yeah,
it's so freaking good. It's so good. It's so good.
So good. James Clear, we're making a plug for you.
Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. But like that book has been recommended to me so many times throughout the years. And I was like, yeah, sure. Like I'll read it. No, when I read it, I think that was the first book. Yeah, it was the first book I read this year. It was a game changer. And I think the like biggest takeaway for me was just basically like this, like small, consistent steps are enough. Like do literally one thing every day, or if not every day, like it depends on the habits you're trying to build. But like we're saying, we're talking about social media and building relationships online, like do one thing every day, 3 times a week, 5 times a week, whatever it is, whatever you can handle, just decide what it is and then just do it. And so I know that like, I love creating content. I'm really organized, and I'm really good at organizing other people's stuff and being consistent with them and their stuff. When it comes to my stuff, I have like, I don't know why I have a mental like block, and I don't know what it is. I just think too hard. And so I learned like I was not being consistent when I didn't have someone else helping me and holding me accountable. So I had a virtual assistant, and now I have someone on my team instead who like I create all the content, I brain dump and make videos and all that stuff. And then it goes into her hands, and then she schedules it and whatever. For me, that's what I needed to do in order to be consistent. So if you go back and look like before January, like I was not showing up consistently, but this year, ever since I was like, okay, I need the help. Like I need it. I've been able to be consistent. So, and the thing is, you don't need like someone else to help you. Like you can do it yourself if you have the right tools.
Okay. I love that. First of all, that you knew what you needed and you asked for it. Like you went and you got it. You needed help. You needed an accountability partner. I would say that like for 85% of us, we all need someone to hold us accountable. Like reaching our goals, less than 7% of people who set New Year's resolutions actually follow through with them at the end. And more than half of them do accomplish them when they have a partner, an accountability partner to do them with, right? So it goes from 7% to over 50%
That's
of people
crazy.
who accomplish goals. Yeah. And it's all because they have this accountability partner. So I think there's value in that. But if you can't find an accountability partner, then you find an accountability platform. Like you showed me how to use Asana and it has changed my life, and it's all about, in the morning, I open 3 things. I open my Google Calendar, I open my Asana, and then I open one project. And that way, like in Asana, I have my task list. I click on that task list. It takes me to my project. Boom. Like it creates this clear pathway. So I'm not like fumbling through this list of things and saying, well, which project should I work on first? Nope. I know exactly what I'm doing. Every single morning, the first thing that I do. And then after that, I work on the whatever other priorities that I have. But that way, just like you're saying, and just like, from the book, Atomic Habits, he makes it obvious, he makes it easy. He says, make it obvious, make it easy. And you do it like in under 60 seconds. Whatever you can do in under 60 seconds will help create that momentum to keep you moving and actually accomplish that thing. So that's really, really important when creating that consistency. And I love that you have said that being consistent means that you're reliable, that people start to trust you. And that, like we all know the know, like, and trust factor. And I feel like that trust factor is that tipping point between you and somebody else they're going to buy from, you and somebody else that they're going to follow.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, let's say you and I did the exact same thing, but you posted and shared every day and showed up every day and I didn't. I was inconsistent. Like, they're going to go with you for sure. Like, I would go with you, like it just makes sense. And I love that you're saying, like, so it's like, again, to put practicality and something tangible behind it, like putting a tool or a system in place so that you can be consistent is the answer. Because just saying like, okay, I'm going to be consistent, I'm going to post every day. Like, okay, well, what are you doing so that you can do that? So like for social media, like I use different scheduling softwares. Like I've used so many right now. I'm testing out different ones. I'm trying to figure out what I like for myself and my clients. But it doesn't, they all do like the same kind of thing. Like you can just pick one and there's free versions and you could use 4 different accounts and use all the free versions if you didn't want to pay, if money's a barrier, which it is for a lot of us small business owners. But yeah, just like use that to like schedule your content. So you could sit down one day and schedule the whole week. So that way you're like, cool. All right. Now I don't have to worry about it. It's just going to be happening. Yeah. So I love that you do this on it. Asana is the best.
It is. It's so awesome. And that, there was something I was going to say and it totally fled my mind. So yeah, that finding the system and finding what works for you. And this is what I was going to say. You talked about, how money is a barrier of entry. And I think sometimes, and this is going off on a little bit of a tangent, but I don't think so. If we can find those things that are valuable to us, that help us maintain that consistency, then it's not that we're spending money, it's that we're investing money. It's that investment. So I have invested in coaches, I have invested in software, I have invested in platform after platform, I've invested in courses. And I've too, like your time is so valuable. So when we meet together, Lauren and I meet together twice a week at least. I wish it was more. We used to do it all the time. But I feel like that time was so valuable. That time with Lauren was so valuable that I would gladly trade any time frame, like whatever I had in place of that to make it work, right? So you just have to understand what is valuable and what value you're willing to exchange for it. If it's money, then that's great. If money is an issue, you will find something that helps you exchange value for value, or you'll be exchanging time for money. And it just depends on what you want to be exchanging, right? If you want to do the dollars for hours, then you can do that. But I don't think that that's what we all want to do if we're here, working on this.
Something I just thought of when you brought that up, like, so, having like an accountability partner, like you were saying before, is super important. Like, I'm wondering if like, people watching this, like if you don't have an accountability partner, like comment and say like looking for an accountability partner, and like in all of, Amy's people, like you could pair up, like if everyone in the Facebook group or, YouTube page or wherever we are, like they could just find someone here and like that could be your person, and you could meet. It could, even if you don't meet via Zoom, once a week, if you don't have that kind of time or you don't want to make that kind of commitment, you could do voice memos back and forth, or just a quick text like, hey, what's your goal for the day? Or hey, what's your goal for the week? And then just like check back in at the end of the week. Okay, did you do it? Like, if someone's going to check in and ask you if you did the thing, like I know I'm like, oh crap, like I don't want to tell them I didn't do it, so I need to do
it. Yeah, see, this is why I like being with you, because you make me feel smart. But that was brilliant. That is a brilliant strategy. So I hope that you will do that. And I am actually going to follow up in the group and post to make sure that whoever, if you didn't get to see this, whether you got to watch this or not watch this, that you have the opportunity and the understanding that we are in this together. So find an accountability partner, share with them your goal, be vulnerable so you can be consistent. So
yeah, good bestie.
Yeah, find a biz bestie. Everybody needs one. Even if it's Anderson Pooper or Sheila Boof, whatever.
My cats.
Yeah. Lauren's got her cat. So they're always involved in our check-ins too. I love it.
Yeah, very active.
Okay, so be authentic, be vulnerable, be consistent. Is there anything else you want to share with us, Lauren, before, you have already shared a wealth of information. And wait, maybe I should back up my question. You actually have quite a few things that you're sharing with people now. So, and you've talked about your course, Vibrant, on video. So can you tell us more about that and more about how people can find you?
Yeah, totally. I would love to share more about that. And so like, well, first thing I'll say is I do have a free masterclass coming up. I'll start advertising it next week, but that's when I'm going to start selling my course. So basically like now through the end of the week, like if someone, was interested in my Vibrant on Video course, I'd be happy to I'll send you a coupon code for anyone and like the link, but, Vibrant on Video is, just a hands-on class where I help people maybe who don't have experience with video or are nervous with video step into the spotlight and really just like infuse life into their businesses, which are already thriving, and really just teach them how to take, their current audience and turn them into raving fans. Because ultimately, like that's what we want, right? So we take these kind of concepts and we just kind of dive deeper into them. And there is, a lot of mindset and woo, but there's like strategic, tangible stuff. Like I have spreadsheets and journal prompts and worksheets and activities and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's a really great class. I love it. I'm so excited. I've already had a couple of people go through it. I did the beta launch, earlier or in December. And then now we're doing the full launch. So it's starting April. I'm like looking up at my board. Starting April 5th. So it's going on sale officially starting, in a couple weeks. So, but again, I'm happy to offer people in your group and community a little discount. So if you're interested in that, or just want to connect with me, like I would love if you wanted to follow me on social. So yeah, I'd love to connect with people.
And we'll share the link below, both for the group and the coupon code. Not the group, but the masterclass. So you can sign up for the masterclass and then the coupon code. You guys are super, super lucky because I'm part of this group. I'm taking this course from Lauren and I'm so excited for it. So the fact that she's offering you a discount is major. I find myself constantly at a loss for words, the generosity that Lauren shares. So thank you for sharing that with everyone. And she's in the group. So if you're not in the group and you want to follow her, come engage with us in the group. She has her own group. It's called, can you share the name of it so I don't get it wrong?
Social Media Made Simple for Small Business Owners. So yeah, you can join my group if you want. But yeah, I'm super active on Facebook and Instagram. That's where I'm the most. So love to hang out there. You can add me, follow me, etc.
Okay. Awesome. You're so lucky. Lauren is a gem. And as always, I love our conversations, and I love the value that you share. I just love everything about you. So thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It was so much fun. Everyone,
It was fun.
day.
Okay, yeah. Make it a great day. And let us know, actually, too, if you are watching the replay. If you've watched the replay, do hashtag replay so that we can comment afterwards. And if you want more tips and resources, we'll be sharing them in the group after this video ends. So make sure you join the group so you can get all those free tips and access to all those resources. So
Woohoo.
thanks so much for joining us. Thanks, Lauren. We'll see you
Yay.
all